Private prisons are allowed to sue states when their occupancy numbers are lower than what they previously agreed to.
There are owners of private prisons that have been contracted by the states to put their prison in that state and put people in prison that are suing those states because they promised them a certain amount of occupancy. And since they've changed some of their laws to be more lenient on locking people up, which has reduced the population in the prison, and now they're suing them for that makeup because they promised them more people than they got. This is how much of a business putting people in jail is. That because they operating at 50% and y'all promised me 75, 80%, I can sue y'all now because y'all ain't locking up enough people.
And then you got to be careful how you even ask Google this question because it'll answer in different ways. First it's like, no. I'm like, okay, so this is false. I asked it again, kind of different wording. And then it said no, but it said it doesn't focus on it. And I'm like, I picked up on not focusing. So I'm like, if it doesn't focus, that doesn't mean that it isn't part of the lawsuit. The bed guarantees right. And then the third time it's like, yes, it does. It said private prisons sue states primarily for low occupancy rates, particularly when contracts include bed guarantees, clauses that require states to pay penalties if a facility is not kept at certain capacity. They may also sue states or challenge laws that aim to ban private prisons or restrict their operation. Lawsuits over occupancy rates, says bed guarantees. Many private prisons contract contains clauses that obligate the state to pay penalties if a facility occupancy falls below specific percentage, such as 90% to 100. So if they're not at 90 or 100% occupancy, they can sue the state and make the state pay that money back and pay penalties as well. You dig what I'm saying? The financial viability of private prisons depends on high occupancy, creating business model that can be incentivized by keeping prisons full. So it's like, so this means it's a great time to revisit this false argument that Charlie Kirk used to make, right? And all the white folks that got behind it. First, they used to say that black folk led the crime in every statistic. When you look at this stat sheet, shows that white folks lead in crime. In how many categories? You can see going down the list. Well, black folks, we lead in two categories. You know what I'm saying? So first, it was a false narrative. And then second, whoever's leading in crime in whatever state, you can see why the incentive would be this way, right? Because so whoever's leading in crime in whatever state that we're talking about should be very outraged about this law. Because when you look across the land, it's the reasoning that the police have to just mess with you for no reason. The stop and frisk law that they enacted where they could just stop them. I think that was in New York. They just stop and frisk you, profile you for no reason, lock you up, find something to lock you up for, right? And then keep you entangled in the system. It's the way of the world, especially the United States, where they want to keep you tied up in this stuff because corporate hands have investments in you to be tied up into the system. They don't want you free. Because how can they get money out of you if you're not free, if you ain't in this bed? You dig what I'm saying? It should be illegal, but it's not illegal, and it likely won't be illegal even if we make an outrage and a stank about it. You know what I'm saying? It likely won't be. The toothpaste won't go back in the pack, so to speak. They're getting too much money. It's just like asking the healthcare system here to go to free healthcare, right? Like they do in Canada and other places, right? You're like, oh, how do they do it? They just do it. It ain't hard to do. But see, it's so many hands invested in this system of first keeping us sick by keeping fast food on every corner so that we can go to the hospital and then have to go to the hospital and to where we taking 12 pills every 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they want you to be healed when they can keep you sick and they can get money out of you and they can get astronomical amounts of money out of you? $800 to take a ambulance ride from around the corner. You dig what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to relinquish you from that. And they're not going to relinquish us from being tied up in these prison beds, right? They're going to keep you there. It was a friend of mine going through having to drop and all this type of stuff with the getting caught drinking, right? And had been doing everything right. Ain't drunk nothing. Took all the classes, did everything he was supposed to do, right? He got a text saying he wasn't supposed to drop that day, right? The judge or whoever was over his thing put in manually for him to come and drop after they sent him the text saying you don't have to come drop today, right? So when he didn't show up, it shows up like he violated, like he did something wrong. So when he came in the next time, he like, listen, I got proof that said they told me not to. I didn't have to drop one today. Well, you should have came in anyway and checked manually. And they proceeded to lock him up in like a facility, not a jail, but it was like a facility, whatever, for over 30 days. When he had proof, and his last officer or whatever that he was dealing with told him, like, no, he has proof. He's been doing everything right. They don't care. They don't care. However, the person is feeling that day, that's how it's going. And it's more incentive for them to keep you entangled in the system. Years ago, we had something called driver's responsibility in Michigan, right? Where you had to get, if you had a suspended license, you had to get this right to get your stuff back in order. And I'm calling to pay it off, right? I had been hustling everything up, got my money together, and it's like a 2-year thing. 2 years of fees. And so I'm trying to pay both years off so I can get my license back immediately and be on the road again, right? They would not let me pay this thing. And I'm like, ma'am, can I speak to a supervisor or something? Because I don't understand that you're telling me I can't pay these 2 years off. Sir, I'm not here to argue with you about this, that, and I'm only here to take payments. And the only payment I can take is for 1 year of this process, which means they're not going to give me a temporary driver's license until the... No, I got to stay looking over my shoulder while I'm driving. I mean, I didn't mean to say driving, while I'm walking everywhere that I'm going, because I'm a law-abiding citizen that wouldn't drive anywhere on the driver's... on a suspended driver's license. I'm laughing at something else on TV I see over here. But you know what I'm saying? It's like they would not let me pay to get out of this program because they wanted to keep you wrapped up in it. And this is the formula of how this system works. It should be legal, but like I say, it's not going to be legal. First of all, the people aren't fighting enough against it. We ain't pushing back against it enough for it to even be considered. But they wouldn't allow it even if we did, I don't believe. Because there's too much money wrapped up in keeping people in prison. It's too much money that's exchanging hands. First of all, the private prison, for the fact that it's allowed to be private, a profit for prisons to be private and then to be profited off of, right there is a conflict in interest. Because it's telling the rest of the police force to make sure that enough people are locked up, whether they are innocent or not, that we can make a profit. You dig what I'm saying? So that's a problem right there. And the fact that the states and them made a deal is even more problematic, because now the state is going to make sure that this happens as well. Because if it doesn't, like you say, then they can be sued, and the state can be penalized. So who suffers? Likely people of color, right? Because we're the first expendable, right? But anybody is going to suffer under that. Whatever the population is, they don't care. We just need you in here for something. And then once we get you in here, then we have no reasoning to keep you sane, to rehabilitate you. All of the recidivism is not, they have no reason to want you to get out and prosper, want you to get out of jail and get a job and, do right and be a great American citizen. They want you to get out, and they give you every reason and parameter. They make it very easy for you to break, to do something wrong so that you can return. because it equals more money for them. So why would they want you to get out and prosper? They're going to put you on probation and have you doing all these things, jumping through all these hoops. First of all, don't nobody want to touch you because you're straight out of prison, right? But welcome to what black folk go through, because it's a stat that says black folk are treated like prisoners. Just going like a a regular black person going in applying for a job, they treat him with the same respect as they do prisoners. That's a fact. They as far as how they look at the application and where they're going to give it a chance, black people, they did this in the study, are treated on the same level as a prisoner would be, a felon would be, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's just how the system is built, how the system is made. They, as long as they can keep making money and profiting off of prison being a thing, then they're gonna keep you there. They're gonna give you long extended sentences to be in there, and even if they don't give you long sentences, then they're gonna give you long probation times where you get out and you can't do nothing for 5-10 years. You're on probation. You can't have a drink. You can't smoke nothing. You can't party. You can't do, you know what I'm saying? Can't be caught around people that got this, that, and the other going on. They give you very strict parameters because they know it's going to be pretty easy for you to break those things and fall back in. And they'll be waiting on you so they can get that money off you just as soon as you do. You dig what I'm saying? It's America. Should be illegal, but it ain't. And it likely ain't going to change, because why would it? It's just like politics. Why would we expect politicians or president or mayors, or why would we really expect Democrats or Republicans to get anything for the people, right? Why would we really expect them to look out for us when the truth is they're in these jobs looking out for themselves? They're getting paid by lobbyists who are lobbying, right? Let me help you run your campaign. Let me give you these millions to run your campaign, to get you out here and get you elected so that you can do favors for me. So the people with money are really what run the country, right? Because they're using the politicians as pawns. Because you're beholden to me now that I got you in place. I put you here by giving you that millions, that 10 million I gave you to run your campaign. So, yeah, you're going to do what I asked you to do to make it easier for my corporation to operate. Why would you listen to the people and create a law that's going to stop my motion and I helped you get here? No, shoot that law down. Make sure your boy good. Make sure I can keep getting this money. That's how that works. And until money is taken out of politics, it will never be for the people. We can complain, as we should, and we can try to change things within the parameters of what we're given. But if we're going to be honest about it, change ain't going to come unless they want it to come. And you know what I'm saying? Why would they want it to come? It's like asking. It's like just like you say with the medical. Why would they want? If they could keep you taking 8 pills a day for the rest of your life that they're selling to you at an astronomical price, right? And then if you do fall out because you didn't take the pills, you got to pay that $800 to get a ride from the ambulance back to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And then they're going to charge you $3,000 while you're in there. Why would they want you to to be healthy? They wouldn't. They would. But that's the price we pay living in America. It's the greatest and the worst at the same time. But it's your boy P Camp. Let me know what you think, what you don't think. Get at your boy.